Now over to you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Vakratunda Mahakaya, Suryakoti Samprabha, Nirvighne Kurume Deva, Sarvakayeshu Sarvada.
O Lord Ganesha, who has a huge body, curved elephant trunk, and whose brilliance is equal to billions of suns, may always remove all obstacles from our endeavors.
सभा में उपस्थित समस्त बंधुगण और भाइयों और बहनों को मेरा सादर प्रणाम व नमस्कार.
In Hindu mythology, we believe Lord Ganesh to be the foremost god, and he is worshipped before beginning any important and auspicious event. So, in the name of Lord Ganesh, let us begin with the 9th International Conference organized by Amity School of Languages, Lucknow, in collaboration with Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Yes Germany, Perfect Language Institute, Alliance Francaise, and Fokker-Schuler des Mittelstands.
We are universal gregarious beings, made for coexisting in peace and love. Mankind, coexisted through turmoil, is lifted together, holding hands in spirit for survival. In this Anthropocene era of technology, globalization, utilitarianism, humanism, and liberty, we endure the spirits of changing miseries into opportunities, converting the tough times of pandemic and epidemic into endless times of opportunities. The virtual connectivity helped us to emerge as better human beings. Staying quarantined at home expanded our horizons and improved our competencies. I, Paramita Tekchandani, along with my co-felicitators Ms. Shubhi Gupta and Ms. Navya Srivastav, take this momentous occasion to begin the 9th International Conference on Narratives of Troubled Times, convened by our Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray, along with all the team members joining hands, hoping to deliberate and discuss on new ideas of research, of path-breaking narratives, and ideas of contemplation to grow in the field of social sciences and humanities. Finding a silver lining in these challenging times, we are indebted to our Chancellor and Chairman, Dr. Asim K. Chauhan, the founding promoter of Amity Education Group, Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar, convener of the event, Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray, the team of faculty members without whom this conference would not have seen the light of the day. As per the Hindu tradition, all great works are started by invoking Lord Ganesh and Agni Dev. As a symbolic veneration, the lighting of the lamp and Vandana would inaugurate the event.
आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
Narratives are significant as they are life lessons. The narratives we exchange in the form of gossip, shared experiences, stories, metaphors, myths, and legends enable human collaboration, whereas continuous repeated narratives constitute the basis of behavioral patterns in society. Sometimes troubled narratives leave a cathartic effect or provide an escape from the mundane life. Surviving troubled times truly tests our faith. When enduring a difficult time, it is important to acknowledge and accept that it is just a transient phase. We can go back and forth in the boundless time, and all that we will find is the rise of a narrative in troubled times. These writings have helped us evolve over time. With this purpose in mind, the International Conference on Narratives of Troubled Times, Reflection and Studies of Humanities, organized by Amity School of Languages, Lucknow, in collaboration with Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, aims at bringing together experts in the field of narration and studies in the fields of humanities to offer insights into key areas of inquiry in addition to exploring the massive evolution of narratives over time. We welcome you all with our open hearts.
Let me take this opportunity to introduce Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray, our esteemed director of Amity School of Languages and convener of the 9th International Conference. In collaboration with Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Yes, Germany, Alliance Francaise, Perfect Language Institute, Volkshochschule des Mittelstands. Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray, Senior Cambridge Honours Graduate from Lady Shri Ram College, Delhi University, was awarded the Best Thesis Award for her PhD degree on Henry Louis Vivien de Rozier, the first Anglo-Indian nationalist poet. She is an educational social activist with 46 years of teaching experience. Dr. Kumkum Ray was awarded the Henry de Rozier Award for Excellence in Education by the Indian Council for Certificate Examination in 2000. She is the member of the Area Advisory Board and Board of Studies of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray drafted the earliest courses on business communication, technical communication, and soft skill for the AKTU University in its founding years. She is the external evaluator of the PhD scholars, Kanpur University and University of Mathura. Her poems and papers have been published in renowned indexed journals. Her 4 books for children, My Step Book 1, 2, 3, 4, published by Macmillan in 2000. Global English for Graduate Students, Chief Editor Literature, Language and Communication, an Essential Trident, Reviewer, EAAMP, Member Emirates Association of Arts and Management Professionals, Member Editorial Board, Transstellar. Her anthology of poems, Breathe Free, Flow Free, is published by Notion Press. Professor Kumkum Ray is the founding member professor and director of Amity School of Languages, Amity University, Lucknow campus in 2004, who drafted the modules and course curriculum for English, communication skills, business communication for the value-added mandatory courses of Amity University, Uttar Pradesh. The teaching and spreading of English language has been the passion of her life. Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray has convened multiple conferences and workshops on languages, literature, and communication for faculty and students of higher studies. Professor Kumkum Ray is a certified experienced writer on power of pen, identities, and social issues in poetry and play by University of Iowa. She has always been the wind beneath our wings, wings that enable us to fly high towards the limitless sky of success. I'm extremely honored to request our pillar of strength, our distinguished director, Professor Kumkum Ray ma'am, to come forward to mark the beginning of the 9th International Conference with her eruditive speech.
Thank you. That was extremely long, and I have to look around whether all this was really accredited to me. In these VUCA times, with stupendous rise in the COVID-19 Omicron Delta virus, the conference provides for an apt platform to relate to narrations of troubled times. Narratives have always been visionary for people to take the road ahead. Adversities have always been instrumental in creativity, innovation, entrepreneurship, all these to survive, but the sensitivity to mankind was the basic lining to such endeavors. There has always been a symbolic relationship between literature and suffering. Suffering utilizes different forms of narratives like memoirs, autobiographies, stories, diaries about subjects narratives of experiencing chronic illness like cancer, pandemic, plague, death of a loved one, and their relationship to the construction of the self, to thine own self be true. Narrative discourse is inevitably consequential for social life, individual experience, and change, the great eternal factor that is always constant, change. Writers, dramatists, poets have been reflecting through different forms of narratives and vagaries of their time and age. The suppressed colonies rose and the native writers started sharing their dreadful experience. Chinua, in his novels, depicted how brutally dark people were treated back then, while writers like Salman Rushdie, Amitabh Ghosh shared their views on the painful partition of India. We go back and forth in the boundless time, and all that we find is the rise of a narrative in troubled times. These writings have helped us to evolve over time. I am indebted to our management, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, founder, president, RBEF, the Chancellor, AUUP, Atul Chauhan, sir, the Chancellor, Rajasthan University, Mr. Asim Chauhan, and to our most academically inclined Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar. I would be failing if I do not express my immense thanks to the change of environment that has come with the coming as Pro-Vice Chancellor of Professor Sunil Dhaneshwar. Communication has become so very transparent, and hence holding of such academic workshop and conferences have taken a path ahead. I thank coordinator of the conference, Mrs. Shraddha Srivastava, team of my faculty members, and my dear, dear students who made this conference possible. Lend fire to my flame. I hope and pray this platform will be a learning experience for eternal learners, leading to outstanding narratives that travel down history for future learners in time to come. The overwhelming response from all parts of the world have made us feel that we are indeed Vasudev Kutumbakam, people of one family, one world. With these words, I welcome all expert speakers, research scholars to utilize the platform, discuss and talk about narratives that have a meaningful fold to research ahead. With these words, thank you, and thank you once again, sir, our Honorable Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar, for having always been so motivating and clearing all our stumbling blocks for events, such academic events as this 9th International Conference. With these words, I now leave the platform for our expert speakers and for words of wisdom from our Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar, sir, who has a long track in the academic world. Over to you.
Ma'am, we owe you so much. We couldn't have done it without you. Thank you so much for sharing your valuable expertise and always blessing us with your knowledge and grandeur. You are truly the wind beneath our wings. Tom Peter remarks, true leaders don't create followers, they create new leaders. And I would like to say a few words about one such leader, the head of Amity University Lucknow campus, our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar. Sir took over the office of Pro VC in the year 2019. Under his able guidance and research oriented vision, Amity has been shaped and transformed into a place which strives to seek and create better human beings. Under his leadership and management, the institution has become more transparent and congenial for everyone, which instilled confidence, solution seeking spirit, revolutionary ideology, and free flow of information. As someone rightly quotes, before you are a leader, success is about knowing yourself. Once you become a leader, success is about growing others. I would take this opportunity to invite Sir to enlighten and elaborate on the theme of conference and bestow his blessings on us.
A very good afternoon to all who are present for this inaugural function of this international conference. Thank you, Paramita, for a brief but very informative introduction that you have given me. I would like to thank, before I share my thoughts with you, the participating universities from Turkey and Germany, as well as the institutes from Surat and Faridabad, who have very kindly come forward, extended their support and help in organizing this international conference. The pandemic is everywhere. It depends on us how to take the situation. There could be a situation where we just throw everything away, that we cannot do anything, or there can be a situation where we take this as an opportunity and try to explore what best can be done out of these times where nothing was possible, say 7-8 months back, to what is happening today when the pandemic is there. Still the commercial activities, teaching activities and all other activities are going on. So it all depends on the frame of mind that we are, how to face the situation. And I am very happy that Amity School of Languages, under the very able guidance of Dr. Kumkum Ray, took this challenge and decided to host this international conference. They were also successful in inviting universities from outside, participation of participants from outside. They got a very good response in terms of the paper presentation. So all in all, I am very happy that under this grim situations also, we are trying to do something so that the focus can be shifted from the pandemic to some important activities. I personally feel that Amity University took this challenge as a positive situation in March 2020 when they shifted to online teaching immediately. In 3 to 4 days, the management was able to create the technological support that was required for shifting to online. We immediately shifted to online, and I'm very happy to share with all the experts who are present that all along, as of today, none of our academic calendars have got delayed. We conducted the teaching, we conducted the examinations, declared the results in time. And so all this credit goes to our management for very soundly supporting in terms of technology. We say that Amity University is a research driven university, and technology is definitely required for any kind of research or innovation. And I am really thankful that our management is pro active for technology of all kind. Having said that, I would also like to take this opportunity to express that because of this pandemic, it was possible that Amity University Lucknow campus in this period from March 2020 till today has conducted more than 300 workshops, seminars and conferences in online mode, and we were able to contact international speakers, experts, Nobel laureates to join our conferences or workshops, and thus the situation we have converted or shifted to our advantage by inviting people from such far off places. Even for today's conference, the participation of university from Turkey and from Germany, if it was a normal time, coordinating all these things, inviting people from outside, their travel, their stay, and all those things are so cumbersome, not impossible, but cumbersome, that lot of management goes into the organization. But in this online mode, this was possible, that just with the help of internet and email, you are able to contact with people. They also very happily accept, because they are also saving a lot of time in travel and stay outside the country, visa and all those technicalities. So it's a very good opportunity for our Amity School of Languages, that they have invited people from outside and within country who will be participating as experts, who are participating, who will be sharing their experience and their knowledge with you people. And therefore, I am once again thankful to Amity School of Languages, Professor Kumkum Ray, Ms. Shraddha, and the organizing committee who were able to organize and manage this conference in these difficult times, so that our focus can shift from the sad things that are happening around us to something positive, something creative. So my all best wishes for the success of this conference. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We always learn a lot from you. You're truly an inspiration. If the world had more people like you, it would definitely be a better place. On this note, now I would like to invite the two most enthusiastic and passionate students of literature, Priyanshu Srivastava and Nishita Sachan from third year, to give their presentation about the institute and share their valuable inputs about the various clubs in our institute. Over to you, Priyanshu and Nishita.
Good afternoon to all the dignitaries present in the audience. I, Priyanshu Srivastava,
And I, Ishita R. Sachan,
students of BA Honours English Semester 6, will now take you through a delightful journey of Amity University, Lucknow, and a department, Amity School of Languages. First, we have some insights about the university. Amity University, Lucknow is a research and innovation-driven university that aims to impart quality education to all its students. Established in 2004, it has 17 institutions that cater to 87 programs, having more than 5,000 students. The 40-acre state-of-art campus is a fine blend of global education, training, and research within an academic ambience.
Personality Development at Amity University. Personality development is a great focus at Amity University as students are trained in areas like personal grooming, effective communication, and leadership skills. It also encourages extracurricular activities like dramatics, singing, dance, fashion designing, etc. We have several clubs in the university for promoting these: the Underdogs and the Contagious Dance Club, Toastmasters Club, and many more.
Various events that take place under Amity University are Amiphoria, which is an annual cultural event organized in the university, which provides a platform for students to showcase their talent in various domains. The next is Sangathan, which is another big event. It is an annual sports event where students from all departments participate in several games. Sangathan takes place in the month of September, which also marks the birth of Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, the esteemed founder and president of Amity Education Group.
The unique three-tier mentor-mentee concept at Amity is religiously followed, which includes students' counseling by faculty, alumni, and industry experts. They constantly interact with the students to counsel them on their academic and personal concerns. The university's library is a resource center with several books, journals, and research materials. Various seminars, conferences, and workshops are also organized in the university, which makes learning interesting. Even during the testing time of the COVID-19 pandemic, Amity ensured that teaching is continued through online classes, webinars, etc. These initiatives have indeed helped the university to carve its firm and reputed position in the education world. No doubt, Amity is one of the top ranked private universities globally.
That was all about the Amity University. Now we come to the department that works under it, Amity School of Languages. ASL, a commitment. Today is the day to open up your future, to expand your horizons and gain new skills, to move your career to the next level or start a new one. We are here to help you all do it all. Courses that are offered at Amity School of Languages are Bachelor of Arts Honours in English Language and Literature, BA English Honours, Masters in English Language and Literature, MA English, PhD in English. Value-added courses at Amity School of Languages are Business Communication, Foreign Languages that goes by German, French, and Spanish, Communication Skills. Program Overview. The English program has been developed in a way that brings creative and unconventional approaches to subjects with an emphasis on the highest academic standards of teaching and research. Why English literature and language? Students study a range of literary and other works written in different styles and from different periods.
Now let us look at some phrases used in usual conversations by literature students. Wear your heart on your sleeve, full circle, heart of gold, come what may, and there are many more. Study of English literature is concerned with social behavior and structure, problems of aesthetic and cultural value, a wide range of examples of writing, awareness of the moral and social questions surrounding the techniques through which analysis and persuasion are achieved. Study of fiction offers a first-hand experience to live with mankind and helps to draw inspiration from the characters to deal with real-life situations. Major areas of study of literature includes history of English literature, poetry, drama, literary theory and criticism, post-colonial literature, world or global literature, communication skills, foreign business languages, behavioral sciences, elective courses allied, and open or domain courses like history, sociology, psychology. Let us look at some career options for literature students. Civil services, teaching, research, media and business, marketing, freelance writer, law, advertising, banking, defense services, etc.
Here are the various clubs that function under Amity School of Languages. First, Mimesis, the Dramatics Club. Second, Sahyog, Social Awareness Club. Spandan, the Cultural Club. Khayal-e-Adab, the Literary Club. Abhivyakti, Foreign Business Languages Club. ASL Coffee House Club. The first is Mimesis, which is the Dramatics Club. Mimesis is the act of representing or imitating reality in art. The objectives of the clubs are audience appealing theatrical presentation, wider perspective of every fold of life, helps in developing professional etiquettes, enhancing communication, willingness to work cooperatively. The individual transformation that happens under a student when part of the Mimesis Dramatics Club are makes one vocal about their thoughts, multitasking, work under pressure, promise of deadlines, enhances the ability to accept and understand different opinions and perspectives, creative problem solving, and healthy self-image. Here on is the gallery of what students do under this club. These are the glimpses of certain productions that we perform.
Moving on to the next club, which is Spandan. Can we separate the dancer from the dance? In other words, both the artist and the art make the audience go through a whole gamut of emotions. Dance to me is the movement of the body in a rhythmic way for the purpose of expressing an idea or emotion, releasing energy, or simply taking delight in the movement itself. For this, our department has the club Spandan or pulsation, which means the beating of the heart. We seldom realize, for example, that our most private thoughts and emotions are not actually our own, for we think in terms of languages and images which we did not invent but which were given to us by our society. The next club is Sahyog or Social Awareness Club. Volunteering or community service provides you with a perfect opportunity to become closer to the community you live in. Community service broadens your horizons by helping you understand the needs of the society and the population you are trying to help through the project you are volunteering on. Community outreach is about giving, contributing, and helping those who cannot help themselves. Community outreach also allows us to influence younger generations to give back to the community. It helps the community grow in a substantial way. The three main goals of an outreach program are to improve learning, promoting civic engagement, and strengthening communities through addressing their societal needs. An outreach program creates a partnership between the communities and the educational institutions. Here are some pictures from the club.
The next club is Khayal-e-Adab, the Literary Club. We read and write poetry because we are the members of human race, and the human race is filled with passion. What is the idea behind the club called Khayal-e-Adab? A particular theme is chosen for each week. Poems are read and discussed on that theme. Personal analysis or khayal about the theme or phrases expressed brings different perspectives into the room, and each perspective can bring about some form of vulnerability in each individual. This will help in connecting the small community on a deeper level and understanding the psychology of individuals. The next club is Abhivyakti, the Foreign Business Languages Club. The purpose of the FBL Club is to foster an interest in and understanding of world languages and their respective cultural traditions. The club sponsors, promotes, conducts, and
Shraddha ma'am, you're on mute.
There's some disruption. The compare's voice cannot be heard.
Yes, ma'am, I'll continue. The purpose of the FBL Club is to foster an interest in an understanding of world languages and their respective cultural traditions. The club sponsors, promotes, conducts, and participates in educational activities.
Ishita, you may continue, please.
Yes, ma'am. The next club is ASL Coffee House.
am I not visible?
Priyanshi, the slide is not changing. Yeah, thank you. Here, I would like to quote a famous proverb by Francis Bacon. Reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. Reasons for the establishment of the club. To help students achieve great oratorship skills, to overcome stage fear and gain confidence while speaking. Even in general lectures, students hesitate while answering. Though they have knowledge, they are unable to convert their thoughts into words. As an English honors student, one should be confident while speaking and handling any impromptu task or situation when the need arises to address the audience. Activities of the club include the Nonviolent Communication Workshop, speech delivering, group discussions and storytelling, reading and writing excerpts or essays, debates, elocution and extempore, soft skills development workshop. And the journey of the clubs continue.
Here are the different MOUs that are signed between Amity School of Languages and various institutes. The first is between ASL Lucknow campus and the Perfect Language Institute Surat and Frankfurt des Metallstands Berlin, Germany. Next is between Amity School of Languages Lucknow campus and Yes Germany Faridabad. Third is between Amity School of Languages, AUP Lucknow campus and Lucknow Management Association. Amity School of Languages, Lucknow campus and Vishwas Foundation. Agreement between Amity School of Languages, Lucknow and Alliance Française de Lucknow, Lucknow. So that was all about the university and the department working under it. I thank you all for giving us your time and attention. Now I would like the felicitators to continue with the conference.
Thank you, Priyanshi and Ishita, for your enriching and informative presentation. It was indeed a beautiful carousel of slides, which made us miss campus life even more. Nonetheless, we will soon be together. जग में बैरी भी नहीं जो मन शीतल होए यह आपा तो डाल दे Daya kare sab koi. Few immortal words uttered by one of the greatest Indian poets, Kabir Das ji, which, if we translate into English, means, if we are at peace with ourselves, none can pose to be our enemy. For if our ego is dropped, we are loved by all. On this note, let's begin with our much awaited moment. It is my extreme delight to have been bestowed with the responsibility of introducing Professor Dr. Nevide Akpınar Delal, head Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, ma'am, who is currently the head at Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Turkey, completed her degree from Çukurova University, German language education in May 1990. Ma'am completed her doctorate from the same university in 1997. One of her full articles published in journals scanned by SCI is The Concept of Turkish Question in the Written Media of German-Speaking Countries, published in 2019. One of her full articles published in journals scanned by international indexes other than SCI is on attitudes and opinions of foreign language teachers on the use of materials in their lessons, published in 2015. Few of her book authorship published by well-known national publishing houses are The Problem of Modern Critical Trends in Education and Youth's Perception of the Future, published in 2020, Modern Critical Trends in Education, The Years of Abstention in European Union Countries, Unending Anxieties and the Situation in Turkey, published in 2020. These were a few everlasting contributions to the world of education. I think we are all exceedingly fortunate to have such an opportunity wherein we get to expand our intellect by delving deep into the foresighted minds of such esteemed speakers through their words. Ma'am, I would take this opportunity to invite you to address the audience.
Thank you. Sayın Rektör, değerli protokol üyeleri, değerli bilim insanları ve katılımcılar, sizleri saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Dear Rector, dear members of the protocol, dear scientists and participants, I respectfully greet you.
Konuşmama başlamadan önce Amity Üniversitesi'ndeki kongre başkan ve temsilcilerine, düzenleme kurulu üyelerine ve tüm kongre ortaklarına teşekkürü bir borç biliyorum.
Before I start my speech, I would like to thank the Congress chairpersons and representatives at Amity University, the members of the organizing committee, and all the Congress partners from different countries.
Üniversitelerin, eğitim kurumlarının ve sivil toplum kuruluşlarının temel misyon ve hedeflerinin insanları hoşgörü, barış, insan ve doğa sevgisi için eğitmek ve böylece bir toplumun değerli ve onurlu üyeleri olabilmeleri için yetiştirmek olması gerektiğini düşünüyorum.
I think that the fundamental missions and goals of universities, all educational institutions, and also non-governmental organizations should be the education of people in tolerance, peace, love of people, and nature, so that they can become valued and honorable members of a democratic and just society.
Üniversitelerin en önemli görevlerinden birinin de araştırmayı toplumda bir kültür haline getirmeleri gerektiğini düşünüyorum. Bazen başka kuruluşlarla işbirliği içinde üniversitelerin düzenlediği konferanslar ve sempozyumlarda buna hizmet eden önemli araçlardır. Ayrıca bilim insanları bu bilimsel konferans ve sempozyumlarda buluşmakta, araştırma sonuçları paylaşılmakta, etkileşimde bulunulmakta ve bilimsel çalışma ve üretimlerin kalitesinin artırılmasına katkı sağlanmaktadır. Uluslararası katılım oranı çerçevesinde farklı ülkelerden bilim insanları arasında farklı bilimsel ve insani diyaloglar gelişmekte ve yeni bilimsel üretimler oluşmakta ve sorunlara çözüm yolları aranmaktadır.
I think that one of the most important duties of universities is to make research a culture in society. Conferences and symposiums organized by universities, sometimes in cooperation with other institutions, are also important tools that serve this purpose. Scientists meet at conferences and symposia, research results are shared, interacted, and contributed to increasing the quality of scientific work and productions. As part of the international participation code, different scientific and humanitarian dialogues develop between scientists from different countries, and new scientific productions are formed and solutions to problems are sought.
20'li yıllarından beri yazım bilimde siyasal, ekonomik, dinsel ve felsefi ve sosyal koşulların yazınsal eserleri belirlediği, yazınsal eserlerin bu koşullardan bağımsız ele alınamayacağı düşüncesi gelişmiştir.
Since the 20s of the 20th century, the idea has developed in literature, science, that political, economic, religious, philosophical, and sociocultural conditions determine literary works, and that literary works cannot be handled independently of these conditions.
Buna göre bir yazar içinde yaşadığı zaman süreci ve toplumdan ve dünyadaki kendi deneyimlerinden bütünüyle kopuk bir yazınsal ürün ortaya koyamazdı. Toplumun aydın ve bilinçli bir üyesi olması ona sorumluluklar yüklemekte, onu çevresinde egemen olan düşünce, duygu ve atmosferi eserlerinde ele almaya, insanı etkileyen durumlar karşısında insanları uyarıp daha iyi bir gelecek için önerilerde bulunmaya sürüklüyordu.
Accordingly, a writer could not produce a literary product completely disconnected from the time period and society he lived in, from his own experiences in the world. Being an enlightened and conscious member of the society, he was given responsibilities, and it was driving him to deal with the thoughts, feelings, and atmosphere that prevailed around him in these works, to warn people in the face of negativities and to make suggestions for a better future.
Bir taraftan da unutulmaması gereken nokta, yazarların toplumdaki egemen genel yargıların etkisinde kalabileceği, onların bir parçası olabileceği ve kişisel değerlendirimlerin toplumdaki dönemin akım ve düşüncelerini yansıtabileceği düşüncesiydi. Çağdaş yazım bilimciler, insanın yaşam koşullarının değiştirilmesinin mümkün olduğundan yola çıkarak, yazına insanlık dışı davranış biçimleriyle savaşma ve yaşamın evrensel, insancıl ve demokratik unsurlarını vurgulayarak insanlığa bu yolda yardım etme görevi de yüklüyorlardı. Çağdaş yazım ve toplum arasında böylece diyalektik bir ilişki söz konusuydu.
On the one hand, the point that should not be forgotten was the thought that writers could be under the influence of the dominant general judgments in the society, that they could be a part of them, and that their personal evaluations could reflect the trends and thoughts of the period in the society. Contemporary literary scholars, starting from the fact that it is possible to change people's living conditions, assign the task of fighting against inhuman behavior patterns and helping humanity in this way by detecting the universal human and democratic elements of life. Thus, there was a dialectical relationship between contemporary literature and society.
Yazarlık genel olarak dünyada yaşanılanları söz düzeninde yeniden anlamlandırma uğraşı diye tanımlanır. Yazınsal metinler ilgi uyandırır, okuyucuları kendi dünyasına çeker ve daha yaşanılası bir dünya için alternatifler sunar.
Authorship is generally defined as the effort to reinterpret what is experienced in the world in word order. Literary texts arouse interests, draw readers into their own world, and offer alternatives for a more livable world.
Edebi ürünler ortaya koyan yazarların tarihsel, toplumsal gerçekliklere kendi özgü felsefi yaklaşımları, kendilerine özgün yapıt kurguları ve karakter işleyişleri vardır. Doğa ve tarihsel toplumsal gerçeklikler, yazınsal yapıtlarda yazarların özgün değerlendirmeleriyle başkalaşarak doğal gerçeklikten farklı bir boyutta sunulmaktadır. İşte Mustafa Kemal Atatürk bu nedenle bu noktada sanatçı esaslı kültür sahibi olmalı ve tarihi iyi bilmelidir diyerek sanatçılara önemli bir sorumluluk yüklemiştir. Adnan Binyazar da yazarların sorumlulukları ile ilgili yazıyı kendi ya da belli bir kümenin çıkarlarına adayan, insanın yazgısını değiştirmede, insanı insana anlatmada bir sorumluluk üstlenmeyen kişilerin yazarlıkla bir ilişkisi olamaz düşüncelerini dile getirmişlerdir.
Writers who produce literary products have their own philosophical approaches to historical social realities, their own unique fictions and character processes. Nature and historical social realities are presented in a different dimension from the natural reality by altering with the subjective and original evaluation of the authors in literary works. At this point, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, for the right reason, gave an important responsibility to the artist by saying the artist must have a fundamental culture and know history well. Adnan Binyazar also expressed the sentences about the responsibilities of the writers. People who dedicate the article to their own interests or to the interests of a certain group and who do not take responsibility for changing the fate of people and telling people to people cannot have a relationship with the author.
Kısacası yazınsal bir yapıt ortaya koyabilmek için bir yazarın yeteneği, çaba, görev ve sorumluluğu çok özel ve zor olsa gerek. Her yazarın yapıtı her şeyden önce kuşkusuz olağanüstü bir çabanın ürünüdür.
In short, an author's talent, effort, duty, and responsibility must be very special and difficult to produce a literary work. The work of every writer is, above all the product of an extraordinary effort.
Yazarlar her şeyden önce bir toplumdaki sanatkarlardır. Sanatçılar öncelikle toplumsal alanındaki, hatta dünyadaki, evrendeki değişim ve gelişmeleri izlerler. Ancak geniş bilgi ve sezgi gücü ile diğer çoğu insanın göremediği bir takım bağlamları fark ederler. Kendi pencerelerinden yorumlarlar ve geleceğe ilişkin duydukları rahatsızlıkları, çıkarlarını gözetmeksizin dışa vurmak isterler.
Writers are above all artists in a society. Artists primarily follow the changes and developments in the social field, even in the world, in the universe, but with their broad knowledge and intuition. They realize some context that most other people cannot see, interpret them from their own perspective, and want to express their discomfort about the future without considering their interests.
Büyük Türk devlet adamı ve Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin kurucusu Mustafa Kemal Atatürk de çeşitli sözlerle sanatçılara büyük değer vermiş ve onları toplumun diğer tüm kesimlerinden ayrı bir yere koymuştur. Şu sözler onun bu anlamda dile getirdiği sözlerden sadece birkaçıdır. Güzel sanatlarda muvaffak olamayan milletler ne yazık ki medeniyet alanında yüksek insanlık sıfatıyla yer almaktan ilelebet mahrum kalacaklardır. Sanatsız kalan bir milletin hayat damarlarından birisi kopmuş demektir. Bir ulus sanat ve sanatçıdan yoksunsa tam bir yaşama sahip olamaz. Efendiler, hepiniz milletvekili olabilirsiniz, bakan olabilirsiniz, hatta cumhurbaşkanı olabilirsiniz. Fakat sanatkar olamazsınız.
Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, the great Turkish statesman and the founder of the Turkish Republic, with various words gave great value to artists and put them in a separate place from all other segments of society. The following words are just a few of the words he uttered in this sense. Nations that are not successful in fine arts, unfortunately, will forever be deprived of taking their place in the field of civilization as a high humanity. A nation without art means that one of its lifelines has been severed. A nation cannot have a full life if it lacks art and artists. Sirs, you can all be in peace, you can be a minister, you can even become president, but you cannot be an artist.
Yazar, bahsettiğim tüm bu yönelimler nedeniyle günümüzde her şeyden önce insanı insana anlatırken insanlık değerlerini korumaya çalışan bir savaşçı rolündedir.
Because of this orientation, I mentioned the author is in the role of a warrior who tries to protect human values while explaining human to human first of all.
Bir yazara göre yazar, insanoğlunun dünya üzerindeki yerini ve varoluş nedenini belirleyen, insanı bunalımlardan, tedirginliklerden kurtaran ve insan oluşunun bilincine ulaştıran kişidir.
According to Bin Yazar, the author is the person who determines the place and reason of existence of human beings in the world, saves people from their depressions and anxieties, and makes them conscious of being human.
Ancak yazarlar tarih boyunca çok çeşitli sıkıntılar da çekmişlerdir bu görev ve sorumluluklarından dolayı. Bin yazara göre yazarlar, üç lafla toplumun yaşama kaynaklarını sömürenlerin tam zıttı bir kişiliği yansıtır. Bu noktada sömürülenlerin yanındadır. Bu yüzden sömürgelerinin kara listelerinin de baş adıdır. Yazar, küçümsenmiş bir kişilik olarak tanıtılır. Yadsınmaz yüceliklerini küllemek ister. En ağır sıfatları yakıştırırlar. Sözde toplumun gözünden düşüreceklerdir yazarı. Bu yüzden yazarı kurduğu özgürlükler katının tutsağı yapmaya çalışmışlardır çağlar boyu. Ama yine de yazar özgürlüğünü yaşamayı bilmiştir. Nerede bir olumlu düşünce gelişimi görülmüşse, nerede toplumların haklarını aradıkları gözlemlenmişse hemen yazarın yakasına yapışılmıştır. Koca dünya sorumluluğunun günahını yazarın boynundan çıkarmak istemiştir. Hayvanlara bile yakıştırılmayan işkenceler yapılmıştır yazara. Buna karşın topluma yüz çevirmemiştir yazar.
However, writers have faced various difficulties throughout history. According to Tubin Yazar, the authors, it reflects a personality that is the exact opposite of those who exploit the living resources of the society with three words. At this point, he is on the side of the exploited person. That is why he is the head of the blacklists of his colonies. He is presented as a despised personality. He wants to turn his undeniable glories to ashes. They ascribe the heaviest adjectives. The so-called public will discredit the author. For this reason, they have tried to make the authors a prisoner of the lyre of freedom he established for ages. But nevertheless, the writer knew how to live his freedom. Wherever a positive thought development was observed, wherever it was observed that societies sought their rights, the author was immediately caught. The big world wanted to remove the sin of its responsibility from the writer's neck. The author has been subjected to tortures that are not even suitable for animals. However, the author did not turn his back on society.
Bin yazara göre yazarın gücünü azaltmaya, soluğunu kesmeye çalışan bir takım güçler tarih boyunca görüle gelmiş olsa da zafer güçlü yazarların, büyük yazarların olmuştur hep.
According to Bin Yazar, although some forces trying to reduce the author's power and take his breath away have been seen throughout history, victory has always belonged to strong writers, great writers.
Bu konferansın katılımcılara hem akademik alanda hem de sosyal açıdan katkıda bulunacağını umut ediyorum. Tüm emeği geçenlere teşekkür ediyorum. Herkese başarılar diliyorum.
I hope that this conference will contribute to the participants both academically and socially. Thank you to all those who contributed. I wish everyone success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Danke schön, Professor Levide. Thank you for giving us some enticing and illuminating words. I hope who is proficient in the language would have been enlightened by your disquisition. And thank you so much, Seval ma'am, for giving us the interpretations and particulars about the points demonstrated by Professor Nevide. Over to you, Shubhi.
Thank you, Paramita. I feel immensely privileged to have been given this opportunity to welcome our Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Manoj Dixit. Professor Manoj Dixit is the Professor of Public Administration at the Department of Public Administration, University of Lucknow, Uttar Pradesh, India. A widely known scholar in the field of public administration and public policy, Professor Dixit was an adjunct professor at the School of Political Science and Public Administration in the University of Science and Technology of China, Chengdu, Sichuan, China, from 2011 to 2014. He is also a researcher at the School of Political Science and Public Administration in the same University of China from 2013 onwards. His fields of specializations are administrative theory, public policy, and tourism management. A highly traveled scholar, Professor Dixit has presented and published more than 50 papers, acted as chairperson and panelist in many significant international conferences organized in Indonesia, China, Australia, Bangkok, Macau, Moscow, Sharjah, Dubai, Sri Lanka, and the United States. Professor Dixit has also proved himself to be a highly acclaimed academic administrator as the Vice Chancellor of the Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia Awadh University, Ayodhya. Dr. Dixit's constant efforts helped Ayodhya to be re-established on the tourism map. Before the Deepotsav in Ayodhya, he started programs like the Ganga Dashera Festival, Ayodhya Heritage Walk, etc. About 5 years ago, under his leadership, a program called Ram Miraj Abhishek was conceptualized in Ayodhya, whose major attraction was Deepotsav. Under his excellent leadership, the event entered into the prestigious Guinness World Records in 2018. His contribution has been widely recognized and he has been awarded many National Excellence Awards, including the prestigious Prayatna Prabandh Ratna Award 2019 from the Government of Uttar Pradesh, India. His excellent contribution to the discipline of public policy and public administration and to the country's relatively weak stock of good academic administrators has always been appreciated. Professor Dixit is also a great orator. The style of his serious speech with interesting jokes at appropriate moments was found amazing and worth emulating from pretty senior academicians. On this note, it is a great matter of honor for me to invite Dr. Dixit to come forward to grace our event with his enlightening speech. So please come forward.
Thank you, Shubhi, for lovely set of words. Even I was discovering these words which virtually flattered me. Honorable speaker who spoke before me and the translator who gave us a feel of a Turkish perspective of narrative building by the authors of the times. Truly speaking, not my area of, not my cup of tea to be in the what we call as the literary area. But having said that, the theme that you have chosen is a deliberately chosen themes of this troubled times which we have seen, that this generation has seen, or maybe the generation which last 100 years may not have seen such a troubled times which shook almost every aspect of human life, or so to say, every aspect of human and entire biosphere was affected by this troubled time that we are facing, going through. Now, there are always multiple, multi-pronged approaches to overcome this time, and as we will all agree, the lion's share goes to the health sector people who will probably find answer to overcome this pandemic disease which has shaken away the confidence of most of the population, particularly the developed world, who still do not find an incredible answer to this particular problems. But the other part of share, which will go to the behavioral scientists, the social scientists, and the literary people, the humanists, the humanist approach people, who will create or who will use this crisis as an opportunity to create narratives for future generations to understand, learn, and be able to cope up with such times. We, fortunately, India, Greece, Turkey, Germany, there are a lot of countries who have a very significant ancient systems of writings available to us. Many other countries may not be as lucky as this. So we have some answers in our literature, as she was mentioning in her presentation, that there are authors like fiction. People say it is a fiction is not lie. Fiction is based on science. Today's fiction is tomorrow's science. So if we are able to create a fiction today, probably tomorrow's science will be richer than what it is right now. So in fact, if you remember or if you realize that when this COVID-19 struck the world, probably only link that we had was a fictitious film, a feature film available, which was made some 4 or 5 years back on the similar kind of a situation that may arise in today. And we initially learned only from that particular movie that what could be the answer to the problem of this nature. So creating a narrative. Narrative is not accidental. Narrative is built on solid literary base of years of understanding of a particular phenomenon. It's not even decades. It's years, maybe of. When we say today that this kind of a troubled times, I am only restricted to this kind of troubled times. There are troubled times and troubled times of this world. Different natures of 2 world wars, or there are troubled times. But if we say this as a health sector troubled times, 1904, the bird flu. So if 1904 happened, probably we had some learning made, some things learned from there, but it happened 100+ years back. It did not percolate down to this world, which already has created many more troubles than the world that 100 years back had. So, but on the basis of that particular times, you could create a narrative. You remember, people in India would remember that when this pandemic happened, when the confidence of the people shook like anything, when we were packed in our houses in the lockdown, the entire feeling of technological supremacy just vanished in night. We realized that there may be aircrafts available, but the flights are not going. We realized that we were talking in terms of having a breakfast today in this city and lunch somewhere else and dinner somewhere else. Were forced to take all 3 meals in the home. And then we realized that probably the supremacy of technology that we were talking about in this particular era has suddenly gone. We had to find certain more answers. And those answers were again from the texts available to you, from the narratives available to you. Like, for example, the Indian participant would realize that we all went back to Ayurveda. There was no answer in the modern medical system. Medicine systems absolutely was zero blank on particular medicines. So we started going back to the roots, to the old times, to the old narratives, that how to keep yourself healthy is a narrative that is available in Indian literature. We went back to that literature and came out of the troubled times with the help of that particular knowledge that we have. So the knowledge building in a troubled times. Today's troubled times will provide only a building block for the knowledge to be generated for tomorrow. It is not going to answer today's problem anyway, because today we have to generate this data. We have to gather this data, gather the information, think about it, and think about how to correlate this particular information that we have gathered with the development modes that are going on, the development, what we call as pangs of development, the negative sides of development that we are thinking and realizing. All this will provide a database for a future narrative to be built. And future narrative will, when it is built on this present information, probably it will be a credible answer to the tomorrow's problem. Humanities, if you have chosen this particular word, which I like most, is a reflection of studies of humanities. Wherever technology supremacy starts, the humanities become the secondary or tertiary kind of studies. Suddenly we, in India also, engineering colleges and management colleges were ruling the roost. Suddenly you realize that everything is engineering, everything is medical, everything is, commerce. Humanities will be poor cousins of all these four systems, and faculty members will be a little more depressed that nobody is bothered about them. Today, the study of human psychology, today, study of human behavior, study of human leadership, coming out of that through, your own inner self to outer self, is back to your roots. This is something that is probably, I hope, this international conference is able to deliberate upon these, encourage people to write more on these human relations, encourage people to understand each other better than what they have done. This pandemic or this troubled times is giving you opportunity to be together once again. It is giving you opportunity to discuss many situations which we may not have discussed in earlier phases. We had no time to discuss, of course. We knew the American literature was flooded with the quality of decision making as a degrading every day because of the technology available. People did not have time. They thought that internet will provide all solutions to all your problems. Suddenly you realize that Google doesn't have an answer to this. Now you realize that it is the family, it is the society, it is the social relations. You realize in the second wave of pandemic, and everybody that was talking about providing a gas cylinder, oxygen cylinder, and you had no answer. You realize how helpless we become. And we also realize that had we remained a social system or a network system, we would have been better off. This is a lessons learned from them. Based on these lessons, I think narratives of this troubled times will be made, and there will be no global narrative minded. There will be no global answer to this phenomenon. This is not a global phenomenon. Every system or every population, every civilization will have to create its own answer to the problem that we are having. Don't even try to see that what WHO will tell you is something that is a gospel truth. No, that is not. They are also a commercial organization. They are not a social organization at all. So India, Turkey, Greece, China, these are the civilized nations which have ancient civilization in the backdrop, will have to provide the answers from the earlier times to the modern times, and from modern times to the times that are coming in the future. I hope there are many more fictions written, many more case studies written, and many more understanding of human psychology or human behavior written, and qualitatively decision making togetherness is back in our narratives, is something that I can look forward to from this particular conference. It will provide probably the seed to that kind of a future in our studies. Actually, I also understand and appreciate and request the Amity people to create smaller groups of people, smaller groups of children, to have discussions on certain points, so that they also can come out with some ideas which may sound very foolish today, but I tell you, they will provide you the base of future knowledge. Today's fiction is tomorrow's reality, I told you. So let us use this opportunity, let us use this technology to be a very constructive use to the building of narratives in the future. And I hope I hope and I wish there are no narratives of troubled times in future. I wish with that a healthy world, a nice, lovely world, together world, a qualitatively better world. But I hope that our authors, our literature, our social thinkers will have a better answer or better narrative for tomorrow to overcome these kind of situations. I'm sorry, I'm out of the town right at the moment, and therefore I had to join as per your request, and I'll be off for a while in another meeting, and I hope I will join you before you wind up. Thank you very much, Shubhi, and thank you very much for inviting me in this particular conference. Nice learning, and I hope you will share the minutes of the meeting once they conclude. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.
Thank you, sir. It was such an honor to hear you speak and absorb from you a small part of the vast ocean of knowledge you possess. Moving ahead, William Wordsworth rightly said, "I am indebted to my father for living, but to my teacher for living well." On this note, I would like to hand over the mic to Paramita.
Thank you, Navya. As someone rightly quotes, Words travel the word, and translation do the driving. I would like to embrace the event with one such eminent speaker among us who would give us wings to fly. Professor Seval Ayne Karakabe, the Deputy Head of Department at Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Turkey. Professor Seval wrote her master thesis in German literature. She did her doctorate on the subject of memory, culture, myth, autobiographical storytelling in German and Turkish. She is a part of Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University since 2009, and the legacy continues till date. I would now call Seval ma'am to give an account on Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello, thank you very much. Can I share my presentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see my presentation now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to tell about Muğla and about the Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University. I will show you some lovely picture from Muğla. Yes, first of all, the Muğla is a university city at the heart of tourism. The province of Muğla, located in the southwest corner of Turkey, where the Aegean Sea meets the Mediterranean, includes popular holiday destinations such as Gökova, Bodrum, Marmaris, Datça, Milas, Dalyan, and Fethiye. With its beautiful resorts, impressive ruins of past civilizations, magnificent landscapes, and vast beaches, thermal waters, rich flora and fauna, as well as accommodations, restaurants, and entertainment chooses to suit every taste. This region has something to offer to everyone. Okay, I'm going to tell about the history of the Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University now. Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University was established in 1992 as a state university with 4 proposed faculties: the Faculty of Arts, Sciences, and Humanities, the Faculty of Economics and Administrative Sciences, the Faculty of Technical Education, and the Faculty of Fisheries. Since its establishment, Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University has been in pursuit of quality higher education and research in order to contribute to the social, cultural, scientific, and technological development of Turkey. The vision and mission of Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University fosters outstanding graduates, employable nationality, and internationally through comprehensive higher education and learning provided by the leadership of its academic staff and scientists, constantly contributing to the universal knowledge production and social prosperity with innovative research. The mission of the Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University aspires to become a world-class university serving the humanity by higher education and research with its uncompromised pursuit of international standards and to become a pioneer in creating value for the society through its services. You see the logo of the University of Muğla Sıtkı Koçman. The columns symbolize the magnificent historical and cultural heritage that can be traced throughout ages and cultures. The belt symbolizes transition between cultures in the present and in the past. Blue lines symbolize Muğla's sparkling sea. The pine tree symbolizes the presence of Muğla's rich forests. 1992 symbolizes the date of establishment of Muğla's Koçman University. We have, I'm going to tell some about the Department of Foreign Language Education. We have English language education and German language education departments. The English language education department was opened in 2001 and 2002 academic year. In addition to the undergraduate program, English language teaching certificate programs which were opened in the same academic year also continued with the task of teacher training. The history of the German language teaching program started 2005 and 2006. The first students degreed in 2010. The program has a bilateral agreement with the Education University of Schwäbisch Gmünd, Duisburg-Essen University, University of Bielefeld, University of Paderborn, and many Farabi agreements. The profile of the Department of Foreign Language Education is the main objective of the program is to train outstanding German teachers who are loyal to the Atatürk's principles and revolutions, with both national and all-embracing identity, broad-minded, fair, who adopted the culture of democracy, who are equipped with competencies about both German language and language teaching methods, sensitive about the qualifications that the language teaching profession require, who have research skills and who can think analytically, who have augmented communication skills, who are reconciled and in harmony with society, who are positive, creative. In addition to teacher training, the program with its academic staff and evaluable facilities can conduct original, theoretical, and practical research in the fields relevant to foreign language teaching, develop and present the society and different institutions and associations programs that are needed in various topics related to foreign languages and language teaching. In terms of the students, I will say our students learn German mainly in Turkey, and also in the English department, students master the native language in writing and orally and have learned an intensive German course in the study of foreign language high school. The students therefore learn German for a year before they begin their teacher training course. After 4 years of study, our students have the opportunity to work as a German teacher. Some may work in other fields, such as tourism companies and translation agencies. Thank you very much for listening me. And thank you very much for all the participants, guests, and students. I wish you all the best and success.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am, for introducing your splendid university to all of us and inspiring us with your visionary words. Over to you, Paramita.
What good is the warmth of summer? What good is the warmth of summer without the cold of winter? To give it the sweetness, rightly stated by John Steinbeck. Have you all heard the song whose lines say, well, you only need the light when it's burning low. You only miss the sun when it starts to snow. Only know you've been high when you're feeling low. Only hate the road when you're missing home. And only value the moments when you let them go. And today, a distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. Sıtkı will give a small talk on the edifying message of survival and triumph of humanity in troubled times through the book Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck. Professor Sıtkı had been the professor of English and the chair of Western Languages and Literature at the Department of Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University since 2001. Completing her PhD at the University of North Dakota, she has published several articles on American culture and literature. She is the publisher of the book International Journey of Gothic Novel. She is also the translator of Harold Bloom's Western canon. As we already are the students of language and literature, we are keenly interested in the insights from your set of knowledge. The stage is all yours, ma'am.
Hello, everybody. Just a second, I would like to share my presentation, but let me see if you can all see this. Okay, can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The title of my presentation is The Survival and Triumph of Humanity in Troubled Times, John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. I would like to start, first of all, by thanking the organizers of this International Conference of Narratives on Troubled Times, Reflection in Studies of Humanities. It's a great honor and pleasure for me to be a part of this conference. When I was asked to give a speech on the subject of troubled times, I thought about the function of literature to bring people together in sharing the pain, and the power of the stories we tell and we hear from each other to heal that pain. Especially in the troubled times that we are living in right now, these narratives become even more important. History of literature is full of these types of narratives where we take part in the suffering of others, finally to celebrate the survival and triumph of humanity. John Steinbeck's Pulitzer Prize awarded novel, Grapes of Wrath, is one such novel. The journey of the Joad family, together with the other migrants from the Depression-era Oklahoma Dust Bowl to California, in search of better living conditions, represent a significant social and economical moment in history. Between 1934 and 1939, a period of drought and dust storms in American Midwest ruined 100 million acres of farmland and forced great numbers of farmers off their land and move west towards California. Forced to leave their home because of economic hardship, the Joad family, I'll show you here, the Joad family travels towards California in a car turned into a truck with Ma and Pa Joad, Uncle John, grandparents, 6 children, the husband of Rose of Sharon, who's the oldest child of the family, and their family friend, Jim Casey. Even though the family suffers hunger, disease, and death along the way, they manage to stay together and help others by keeping their hope alive. In The Grapes of Wrath, the story of the immigrant farmers is told in a narrative that echoes the biblical exodus to the promised land. The title of Steinbeck's novel is taken from a patriotic song, The Battle Hymn of the Republic, which is a direct Christian allusion suggesting the glory of the coming of the Lord. And the angel trusts his sickle, the great winepress, and the winepress of the wrath of God. In the grapes of wrath, when the migrant workers' sufferings reach inhuman limits, Steinbeck writes, and they stand still and watch the potatoes float by, listen to the screaming pigs being killed in a ditch and covered with quicklime, watch the mountains of oranges slop down to a putrefying ooze, and in the eyes of the people, there is the failure. And in the eyes of the hungry, there is a growing wrath. In the souls of the people, the grapes of wrath are filling and growing heavy for the vintage. While the hungry people are watching, the fruits are left to rot or destroyed because the landowners cannot take any profit from them. The selfishness and the greed of the landowners inflict immeasurable pain on the workers. The title of the novel is seen as the warnings of what can happen when people get united in action against social injustice. Throughout the novel, Steinbeck alternates two styles of narration. The interchapters offer a panoramic view of the immigrant workers' predicament, whereas the narrative chapters give the close-up of the Joad family's journey from Oklahoma to California. In his essay, Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, Louis Owens comments, in this way, Steinbeck can make the reader feel the immensity of the social, historical tragedy unfolding while simultaneously he allows the reader to participate in the drama along with the Joads, to feel very personally the pain and trauma of the Joads, and thus of all of the displaced migrants. Steinbeck wanted his readers to see the novel not only as the predicament of migrant workers in a specific place and in a specific historical period, but also as a work about America. The first settlers of this country imagined America as the New Jerusalem, New Paradise. Colonists such as William Bradford's Pilgrims at Plymouth thought of themselves as the chosen people. Their typological imagination let them see their predicament paralleling the situation of the Israelites leaving Egypt and finding the promised land. This biblical consciousness gave birth to the American myth, a national narrative that involved leaving the past and starting anew in a promised land. Steinbeck continuously explored this American myth in his writing. In Christian Symbolism in the Grapes of Wrath, Martin Shockley examines the biblical elements in the novel. His essay offers a thorough argument about the Christian context of the novel. He argues that the main characters, events, and language in the novel allude to Christian theology and literature. Shockley underlines the parallels and the allusions to the Bible, like the Israelites, the Joads are a homeless and persecuted people. They too flee from oppression, wander through a wilderness of hardship, seeking their own promised land. Shockley also comments about the similarities between Casey and Jesus. Jesus began his mission after a period of withdrawal into the wilderness for meditation and consecration. Like Jesus, Jim has rejected an old religion and is in process of replacing it with a new gospel. Shockley points out that Casey's death symbolically occurs in the middle of a stream to represent the crossing over Jordan Christian motif. Casey's last words before he was killed, "You fellas don't know what you're doing," also echoes what Jesus said as they crucified him. So there are many similarities and many references to Christian theology in this book. Shockley adds to this argument Jode and Rose of Sharon also reflect qualities of Jesus Christ. According to Shockley, in the Grapes of Wrath, the major intended meaning is essentially and thoroughly Christian. Although I think Shockley presents a convincing argument about the biblical allusions in the Grapes of Wrath, Steinbeck's novel, I think, is too complicated to allow a rigid allegorical reading. Steinbeck is often critical of fundamental Christianity with the popular ideologies of the time. In the Log to Sea of Cortez, a work of nonfiction written a year after the publication of The Grapes of Wrath, Steinbeck explains his understanding of religion. And it is strange that most of the feelings we call religious, most of the mystical outcrying, which is one of the most prized and used and desired reactions of our species, is really the understanding and the attempt to say that man is related to the whole thing, related inextricably to all reality, known and unknowable. Steinbeck explored this idea of unity, in one throughout his career. Sorry. In The Grapes of Wrath, Casey voices his this new religion, a mixture of Emersonian oversoul and Christian Christian principles and discourse. Casey explains to Tom, this is how he voices his understanding of religion, the idea of unity in one. Sorry. He says, maybe, I figured, maybe it's all man and all woman we love. Maybe that's the Holy Spirit, the human. I'm sorry. I lost my voice for a second. Maybe the Holy Spirit, the human spirit, the whole shebang. Maybe all man got one big soul everybody's a part of. When the Jode family asks Casey to say grace before breakfast, because they haven't been converted to Jim Casey's version of religion at the moment, Casey's grace demonstrates the social context of his newfound religion. He says, but when they're all working together, not one fella for another fella, but one fella kind of harnessed to the whole shebang. That's right. That's holy. So through Casey, Steinbeck is representing his own idea of religion. Throughout the novel, Steinbeck develops his idea of the group man or phalanx. According to this, each person makes up a specific piece of a working unit. In chapter 14, one of the interchapters that give the hints and warnings of a possible revolution of the working class, Steinbeck names this group man as man-self. and their social awakening, the beginning from I to we. In the evening, a strange thing happened. The 20 families became one family. The children were the children of all. The loss of home became one loss, and the golden time in the West was one dream. So these immigrant farmers, when they get together in this time of hardship, instead of fending for their own families, they look after for all children, all families, and they become one. And that was the idea that Steinbeck is developing in his writing. The individual families who leave their lands, homes, and cherished possessions with the hopes of finding jobs in California become man-self in their shared misery, the phalanx. The families which had been units of which the boundaries were a house at night, a farm by day, changed their boundaries. In the long hot night, they were silent in the cars, moving slowly westward. But at night, they integrated with any group they found. Despite the fact that Steinbeck was writing a socialist novel aiming to expose the miserable predicament of the migrant workers and the greed and selfishness of the owning class, and promote awareness and social change, much of his solutions remain in the realm of the spiritual, the transcendental, the sacred. Steinbeck invites the readers to convert to his religion together with the main characters in the novel. The Grapes of Wrath starts with Casey's conversion from strict church rules to his newly found religion. Throughout the novel, one after the other, all of the main characters in the novel convert to this. Initially, only Casey voices Steinbeck's religious idea of all things are one thing, and that one thing is all things. Then other characters follow his lead. For example, Marjot changes in the course of her journey. She replaces her belief in God with the belief in the unity of people. In the beginning, she says, all we got is the family unbroken. But along the way, she realizes that her family cannot survive on their own. Instead of caring for her own family only, she comes to accept and care for the other migrant families they encounter along the way. She says, used to be the family was first. It ain't so now. It's anybody. From the beginning, Tom Joad accepts Jim Casey as his mentor and undergoes transformation of character following his lead. Tom's parting words to Ma show that he is following Casey's belief. Sorry about this. He says, well, maybe like Casey says, a fella ain't got a soul of his own, but only a piece of a big one. And then it don't matter. Then I'll be around in the dark. I'll be everywhere, wherever you look. Wherever there's a fight so hungry people can eat, I'll be there. Wherever there's a cop beating up a guy, I'll be there. If Casey knowed, why, I'll be in the way guys yell when they're mad, and I'll be in the way kids laugh when they're hungry and they know supper's ready. And when our folks eat the stuff they raise and live in the houses they built, why, I'll be there. See, God, I'm talking like Casey. The conversions to Steinbeck's understanding of religion or spirituality culminate in Rose of Sharon's selfless act in the final scene. Rose of Sharon's mysterious smile with a stranger in her arm signifies her satisfaction in her redefinition of herself as part of one. And The Grapes of Wrath was a great success in its time and continued to get critical attention over the years. An important reason for the success of the novel is the compassion Steinbeck showed in presenting the Joad family and the other migrant families they encounter along their journey as genuine characters. Their dehumanization under unequal economic conditions is portrayed convincingly in the novel. This is again what Tom says. Well, Okie used to mean you was from Oklahoma. Now it means you're a dirty son of a bitch. Okie means you're scum. Don't mean nothing itself. It's the way they say it. So these immigrants from Oklahoma, we witness the process of their dehumanization, and even the way they refer to them becomes like a curse word. Steinbeck wanted to present the migrants as realistically as possible. In fact, Steinbeck spent some time traveling with them to observe their life. He took pains to make sure their language, ideas, concerns were well represented. Sylvia Jenkins Cook comments on the success of the novel. Steinbeck's novel had succeeded in the 1930s not merely because of its topicality, but also because of the skills with which he had documented the voices and lives of the migrants, the carefully fostered dialectical debate between the chapters and the interchapters, the compassion with which the novel demanded a moral response from its readers. Steinbeck demanded a moral response from the readers through his heart-wrenching depiction of human endurance. In the log from the Sea of Cortez, Steinbeck wrote about this, his rhetorical strategy in the novel. He says, "I have done my damnedest to rip a reader's nerves to rags." And this is a technique that has been used in other novels, especially protest novels. For example, in Uncle Tom's Cabin, Harriet Beecher Stowe used a similar technique while demonstrating the evils of slavery. As Railton says in his essay, Pilgrim's Politics, it's a good technique for a protest novel. The narrative enacts its own kind of oppression, and by arousing in its readers a desire to fight the sense of inevitability, it works strategically to arouse us toward action to change the status quo. The novel wouldn't have the same impact that it has on the readers without hungry children waiting around for someone to give them a bite to eat, Ma's courage and sacrifice to sit next to Grandma's dead body until the family safely crosses over California, the stillborn baby, and Rose of Sharon's final incredible act of compassion. Steinbeck's ending in The Grapes of Wrath is the most controversial part of the novel. Throughout the novel, Rose of Sharon transforms from a selfish individual to a caring human being. At the end of the novel, after her husband leaves her, and the tragic loss of her baby, she offers her breast to the starving old man who would otherwise die. This is the very controversial ending of the novel. But this selfless act shows the transformation that Rose of Sharon went through in her journey, and also complements Steinbeck's understanding of a family of mankind without any boundaries. It is an ending that is shocking and disturbing, yet meant to be optimistic for the human race. Through Rose of Sharon's acts, Steinbeck demonstrates that human endurance, resilience, and capacity for compassion towards others. He implies that revolution will start inside human beings. His final emphasis for change, survival, and triumph remains on the interpersonal level. Without assigning blame to anybody, actually dividing it equally among all the parties involved, he looked at the predicament of the workers as it stands and proposes a solution of universal change of heart. To conclude, I can say that Steinbeck's saga of the George family's trials and tribulations during the years of Great Depression does not represent only a moment in history, because the themes of poverty, discrimination, disease, ecological disasters, economic crisis, immigration are topics that are still highly relevant today in our lives. As good literature always does, 83 years after its publication, this novel still succeeds to give its readers the hope and comfort that people survive through difficult times and will continue to do so. And as Marjote tells Tom at the end of the novel, why, Tom? We're the people that live. They ain't gonna wipe us out. Why? We're the people. We go on. So thank you very much for your patience.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for your illuminating speech. It was a great pleasure for all of us to hear from you.
Thank you.
Now, born in Malta, Stefan Zammit completed his bachelor's and master's in international economics at the University of Göttingen, Germany. He is a part of PFH Private University of Applied Sciences since 2011. He chairs the posts of Program Director of MSc in General Management, Head of International Office, Lecturer at PFH. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Stefan Zammit, one of our profound speakers, to come forward and enthrall everyone with your inspiring speech. So please come forward.
Thank you very much, Shubi. Thank you very much for the invitation and for the introduction. I will share my screen in 1 second. You should be able to see my presentation slides now. I hope you can hear me well, and I hope you can see the slides.
Yes, sir, the slide is visible and you are clearly audible.
Perfect. I apologize perhaps up front because I'm perhaps, as many of you, I'm at home today, to be honest, not necessarily because of COVID, but because I broke my foot a couple of weeks ago. So I'm not that mobile, and there are construction works going on, unexpected, unfortunately. So I hope that these few minutes will be full of peace and quiet. I'll skip the introduction. Thank you, Shupi, for that. So I'll skip to the next slide, which shows the topics, examples of topics, call for papers, which my friend and colleague Gagan, Dr. Gagan Sial from US Germany sent me when he asked me whether I would be available for this international conference. And he said it would be about COVID, about the impact of COVID and how this will affect our future and so on. And I thought, oh, there's plenty that we could, there are plenty of narratives that could help us move on in the aftermath of this pandemic. And but my proximity to university, of course, made it clear to me straight away that I would use the few minutes available to talk about how this pandemic has affected students, how it has affected campus life, and how it will perhaps affect campus life and students in the future. Perhaps just a few points to give you and the honored guests a bit of a background of the university. We are a small university. We have 600 students on campus and around 3,400 students in distance learning programs. We have 3 areas in which we teach. management and law, psychology, business psychology, and engineering with a focus on lightweight and healthcare technology. So we are one of the few universities in Germany that actually offer both on-campus and distance learning programs. So you might think, lucky you, you had the infrastructure in place in order to immediately switch to online mode once the pandemic kicked in. In a way, it is true, yes, we were lucky because we did have expertise in distance learning, but campus programs are not distance learning, and the expectations that students have are also different. They are different groups of students with different aims and subject to different conditions. I remember sitting in this room a couple of years ago. I don't remember whether this was Amity School of Languages with whom we had the conference, but I remember addressing a group of students and prospective students and telling them that they themselves have little to worry about because the pandemic, this virus doesn't affect young and strong people as badly as it does the elderly, for example, and the sick. So I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with how things developed in Germany, so I thought it might be good to show you a graph that explains at least a very small dimension of this big picture. Apologize for the data being in German. It's about the number of deaths that we have had in Germany since the beginning of the pandemic. You know, everything should be looked at in relative terms, of course, but I think when it comes to deaths, it's everyone that counts. But this picture does show us that what initially was obvious, you know, what became clear, that it's mainly the elderly and the sick who are affected, becomes even more obvious when you look at this statistic. So these are absolute numbers. So we've had a total of around 115,000 deaths since the beginning of COVID. But if you look at the age group of our students, basically between 20 and 29, of course we can look at 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 19-year-olds too, we have less than 0.2% of all these deaths were people aged 30 or lower. The largest number of people, of course, who were affected were people aged 60 plus, people aged 50 plus, perhaps, in which case we would have 98.5% of all deaths. Now, I've been asking people for a long time, you know, what just to, you know, to help students perhaps overcome a fear for themselves, because fear is sometimes in most cases not rational. Because it was more important, from my point of view, to look at this pandemic in a way that strengthens solidarity in society. This was always about protecting the vulnerable. So I expected, to be honest, I expected a generation conflict to arise due to this pandemic. You know, young versus old. Young students, perhaps, who might think, why should we not be allowed to enjoy our years as students? We are not affected, so why should we not enjoy ourselves? Why should we not go to campus? This was always about solidarity. It was always about making sure that our healthcare systems do not collapse. So this didn't happen. At least my experience is, even at university, in discussions with students and surveys that we have conducted, was indeed that students were showed a lot of solidarity towards their elders, and there seems to be no generation conflict, which is quite extraordinary if you ask me. But what is arising in society, and not only in society, but this is also reflected in our students, is a conflict between ideologies, a conflict between those who think vaccination is good and those who do not want to get vaccinated, which has also, of course, ignited a discussion, and now it's a political discussion as well, about obligatory vaccination. At the beginning, the politicians categorically rejected the idea of instituting a compulsory vaccination, but now since reason has not proven to be enough in terms of numbers, and we still have a large number of people who have not got vaccinated in Germany, even elderly. There are 20 million people in Germany who have not yet got vaccinated, and many of them are also aged 60 plus, who are particularly vulnerable. So is it a conflict of ideologies, and will this remain? And how has this affected our students and campus life? It was not only fear and concern for the elderly or for one's own health, but it was also compassion. I remember talking to a student from Goa who decided to take a break from his studies, and he went to Goa for 1 semester to collect funds and to help people in need who were affected by the pandemic, children who lost their parents, for example, and who did not have enough food on their plates. So it did also get the best out of many of us. It led to uncertainty as well. How will their studies proceed? How will students react to one another? Will they react indifferently? Are they emotion-driven? Are they data-driven? One thing is for sure, no matter what the students and the staff's reactions and approaches were, it led to a different understanding of prioritization of duties. And this is this question about what our duty is, as, for example, as a university or as lecturers in universities, is how do we find the right balance in such a case between giving the students what they need in order to learn, and reducing the risk of, in this case, of infection as much as possible. So on the one hand, students, we conducted a survey. We conducted a survey last year, shortly after, just before vaccinations were widely available, and things were getting a little bit better in summer. And we asked students under what conditions would they like to return to campus. So we asked them, okay, would you like to return on campus at all? And if yes, under what conditions? And it was interesting to see that we had 25% of the respondents said, I don't really care. It doesn't matter under what conditions you start teaching on campus again. I will come anyway. And we had 25% of students who said, irrespective of what you do, there is no way at all that I'm going to come back to campus. And then we had 50% of the students who were sort of, who were okay with coming to university if the conditions were okay. Of course, social distancing, masks, testing, and so on and so forth. So we have a very wide spectrum of society also reflected in our students. And this, of course, made decision-taking within the university, within the Corona Task Force, for example, extremely difficult, because there was no one single decision that would make all the students and staff happy. But we are used to that, aren't we? When can we take a decision which is perfect for everyone unanimously? So this led to conflicts among students, conflicts among staff, and conflicts between students and staff, conflicts which are still ongoing. When I think about the exams which are currently taking place, we did offer exams online last year, but now that we have also the conditions have changed, vaccinations are available, testing is available, and so on and so forth. So we have had a lot of experience with that. So we decided that we would conduct these exams on campus. And as you can imagine, especially because the comparison is there to other universities in Germany who are largely offering their exams online, some students think it irresponsible of our university to offer these exams online. while others are really thankful and happy that they can because they do not like sitting exams online. So again, I think the questions that that we will need to ask ourselves as educators in our sector of higher education is how is the long-lasting COVID-driven digitalization boost going to affect higher education? Students have spent 2 years now doing a lot online. Is this their understanding of campus programs? How a whole generation now of students doesn't know what it means to actually study a proper program on campus. They have got used to a certain flexibility. You know, students perhaps deciding not to come to university, although the course is taking place in hybrid form because they don't feel like waking up early and coming to school at 8 a.m. How does that affect teaching? So there are a large number of questions that we will need to address in the very near future, and questions that have been keeping us busy, of course, these last months and years. How has it affected students' expectations, and how are we as universities going to react to these developments and to these expectations? Those are the questions that we would like to tackle, and I don't know whether we will have time to discuss this now, whether there is any time for questions. I think not, but I hope that these questions will also keep you busy as they have kept me in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. It was our extreme honor to hear impactful words. The knowledge that we acquired will resonate in our endeavors. Guru Govind do khade, kaake lagu paye. Balihari Guru apno, Govind diyo bataye. Who should I bow down upon if I have my teacher and God standing before me? It's definitely my teacher who I'll greet first, because he is the one who imparted me the wisdom of understanding and knowing God in the first place. What a universal truth did the renowned Kabir Das ji utter in his dohas. Keeping this beautiful saying in our mind, let's move on with the next expert speaker, Miss Marilyn Layden, currently working at the French Institute in India as Cooperation Attaché for French. After working for 10 years in the professional integration of people with disabilities, Ma'am trained with the Alliance Française de Paris in French as a foreign language. Later, Ma'am taught FLE at the French Institute in Rabat and specialized in assessment through the DELF and DALF. Trained as an examiner corrector and then trainer for examiners correctors, she took responsibility for the IF Rabat Examination Center for 2 years before managing the entire French language certification system in Morocco. It was during this period that she prepared for the Master of Science in Didactic Language of FLE at a distance with the University of Grenoble, Alps. Since September 2018, Ma'am has been working at the French Institute in India as Cooperation Attaché for French, which she continues to follow, among other projects, all questions related to language assessment. Ma'am, it fills our heart with joy and honor to have you with us today. Without much ado, I would request Ma'am to take over and instill our minds with her thoughtful words.
Ma'am, I'll share the screen for you. Please give me a clue whenever you want to change the slide.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is the slide visible, ma'am?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So first of all, good afternoon, everyone. Bonjour, namaste. I would like to thank Amity University to organize that event and to give me the opportunity of sharing my experience. So I work as an attaché for cooperation in French language for the French Institute in India. As you may know, the French Institute in India, along with the Alliance Française in India, intend to promote French language and Francophone cultures. I chose today to tell you my vision about the intercultural approach of language learning because, as one of you said during the inaugural session this morning, one of the main purposes of studying at Amity University is to expand your horizons. And this is all interculturality is about. So we can start with the first slide or the second one. Thank you. So as I said, bonjour, good afternoon, namaste. In every society, when you meet someone, the first contact with the language is the greeting word. And the way you say hello to someone tells a lot about society, about a society and its culture. If you have ever been to France, one of the first things you might have noticed is the way people greet each other. If people have a formal relationship, for example, for business, they will shake hands to say hello. And if they are close friends, they may kiss each other on each cheek. Unfortunately, not anymore these days because of the pandemic, because of social distancing, but usually this is a habit that we have to kiss each other. It's to say hello, and especially with friends. Talking about the kiss, do you know any synonyms about the kiss word in English? If some have, you may open your microphone. So are there words for kiss in English? Not really. I tried to find one or two, but couldn't find. But in French, a kiss is called un baiser. It can be une bise. It can be un bisou. And the verb to kiss, in French, you would say embrasser, but you also may say faire la bise or donner un bisou. And in a familiar word, we could say bisouter also. As well as the words they use, bonjour is quite formal when salut is used between friends and coucou between close friends. So you may say, with the example of the greeting words and of the way people greet, you may have a first view of the culture. Like you have noticed, and because I started with that the kiss is very important in our French culture. Moving on the third slide. So talking about expand your horizons, I would like to share a little about my experience. A few months ago, I heard the Vice Chancellor of a great university in Rajasthan emphasizing on the importance of creating links and being in contact with the cultures, the values, the behaviors held by a language. If learning a language gives you new words, it definitely gives you a better understanding of the others. The pictures you see on this slide represent Morocco. In January 2014, I took a flight to Morocco. The two official languages of Morocco are Arabic and Amazigh. But lots of people speak French as Morocco is part of la francophonie. I was surprised that even if most of the people around me were speaking French, they had a very different use of the language from mine. And sometimes it was very difficult to understand what they meant, even if I understood the words and the sentences. Moreover, as soon as I started learning Arabic, a full world opened its doors to me. So it's very interesting to see how the language starts opening your eyes to the world. Let's move to the next slide. So speaking of the language, language is words put together, they make sentences, and the way they've been put together is the grammar of the language. But a language is not only about words and sentences. On the right side of this slide, you may see an image representing the weather with sun and clouds and rain. According to you, which of these images would represent what we call a good weather? Does anyone has an idea? If someone can unmute.
Ma'am, the second image, if I'm not wrong.
The one with the clouds and the rain?
No, ma'am, the second one. The sunny
second
weather.
with the sun. Okay. So you said, if I'm not wrong, you asked me if I'm not wrong. Actually, there is no wrong or right answer. Like, according to you, good weather is sun and maybe 25 degrees temperature. If you're French, the good weather will always be with sun. But if you go to other countries, maybe also in India, but let's speak about Morocco because it's the country I know the best. The good weather would be when it rains, because in Morocco, rain doesn't come that often. And one day I went to the grocery store. It was pouring and pouring rain. It was raining, as we say, dogs and cats. And the shopkeeper told me, "Oh, what a nice weather today." And I looked at him and I was like, "Nice weather? But it's raining. In France, when it's nice weather, it's sun." So you can see how you can represent the world. You can express your reality with words and not seeing the same thing because of your culture and because of your context. So let's move to the next slide, sorry. Thank you. If I tell you about culture, what does it mean for you? Maybe it would be about art, about literature, about music, history, geography, or the way about the gastronomy of a country. But the culture is not only about all those very interesting things. Culture is also represented by the rules of politeness, the values of the people in a country, the faith that they have, the sense of humor, and the different codes and notions about space, distances, or weather. Using the language is a cultural aspect of the society, and it's a key to understand the codes of the society. Let's move to the next slide. So why learning a language? Learning a language will help you to develop, of course, your creativity, but also to communicate. For example, learning French will help you communicating with more than 350 million French speakers all over the world. So it will give you access to different cultures. Learning a foreign language will also help you understand yourself as a person and yourself as part of a community and as belonging to a specific culture. And I'm pretty sure that you don't belong to one culture, but like to different culture. You as an Indian, you as a student, you as living in Uttar Pradesh or in another state. Learning a language will make you think about your own language and how you describe the world. But it will help you understand other people. You will also understand how the others describe the world. One same world can reflect different realities. Your reality will be different from the others, even if you speak the same language, and even more when you speak different languages. So this is how it will help you develop your intercultural skills. Why developing intercultural skills? Let's move to the last slide. So in other words, it will help you to observe the world, to see with new eyes how you can observe the world and try to understand it. It will help you question the world, question other cultures, and question your own culture. Once you've started observing, questioning, you will start understanding the others, and it will help to exchange with the others and to understand the others and to experiment new activities and experiment new experiences, if I may say so. So in 2 words, I would say having an intercultural approach of the language is keeping an open mind with the others. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You really told us the meaning that to know another language is to possess another soul. To know another language means to understand the world in a very different perspective. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your informatory and illuminating words. We truly appreciate your professionalism and for the points you made. Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your expertise with us. Thank you.
We must make the most out of the experience. Embrace every opportunity for growth that comes our way. And when we find something we are passionate about, we must persist. Most importantly, we must remember to have fun. You can't paint the picture of your life with your hands in your pocket. So remember to take risks to grow yourself further and explore. This is what I've learned in these past 1.5 years of my journey in ASL, no matter offline or online. On this note, it's now time to look back on those fun experiences of our department. Whether online or offline, let's relive the wonderful journey of ASL. I request the technical department, please play the video.
ड्रामा ड्रामा पूरा जीवन हमनी के ड्रामा है ना। हाँ, हमार घर से लेके एजा तक जौनो होता हमारा संगे कुल एगो ड्रामा है ना।
From context to reality, from fiction to relevance, from reading to reality. Theatre teaches us perception of human characters that exist around us and always will. To decipher human behavior and ways to handle them, to be able to cope with challenges and tragedies of life, yet continue to emerge as team leaders, forgiving to human faults, building holistic persona, and with capability of coping.
हमारी अजीजों तरीन रियाया हाकिम अदालत काज़ी मुल्क का फैसला आपने सुना। मेरा घर, मेरा तोबा कहाँ है? मेरा घर, मेरा घर, मेरा तोबा।
I joined this club in my first year of my college, and till then I can say this for sure that Mimesis has sculpted me into the person that I am today. A person who is more confident, understands various perspectives, and a person who wants to achieve. I played the character of Mantra in a play in a production called Ram Leela, and I performed in various Nukkar Nataks. Both these opportunities gave me and made me realize different folds of me that I thought never existed in me, made me a person who is patient yet very vocal about my thoughts and my opinions. At last, I can say that Mimesis started to become the highlight of my day. Until then, it is.
Mimesis. Do you see that smile on my face? This club gives me a lot of happiness. And I think that's all what matters, right?
Orientation program, we were introduced to Mimesis Club, where I was very curious about the club and wanted to know about it more and wanted to participate in it. So when I came to campus, I was selected for a Nukkad Natak, where I was allowed, I had the freedom to scream.
एक लफ्ज में तेरा किस्सा पार किया जा सकता है, मगर
सुल्तान! सुल्तान! वो मर चुका है! I joined Mimesis in the year 2020, and during that time, Mimesis was working in the online mode. Despite the fact that we were not present together physically, it's never felt like that. We were always on with some or the other activity, be it dramatic reading of plays or monologues being delivered, sir lecturing us on the techniques of dramatization, and so on.
The clubs which is functional in Amity School of Languages, the club which is close to my heart is Dramatics Club. The reason is that in Dramatics Club the students learn how to develop team spirit, how to boost the morals of each other, how to increase the number of audience appropriate presentations. Right from the inception of this club in 2012, if I am not wrong, the first play which was aired was Dr. Faustus. And I have seen in the last few years the students of Amity School of Languages under the guidance of our able HUI, Dr. Kumkumre ma'am and Rohit sir, they have given such presentations which have awed the students of Amity, and the best presentations which close to me is the Chakravyuh and Ram Leela, which was played in the clock tower. I want to quote one of the sentences of our Honorable HUI when she, in a meeting when she was talking about the clubs, she told Rohit sir that this Dramatics Club, it is very important because it will increase the critical thinking skills of the students, and by that they will be able to analyze the learning literature taught in the class. I wish the Dramatics Club and team all the best.
गांव की गलियां पूछ रही हैं, कहाँ रहे तुम इतने दिन?
मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है। मैं उस माटी का वृक्ष नहीं जिसको नदियों ने सींचा है। बंजर माटी में पल कर मैंने मृत्यु से जीवन खींचा है।
इतिहास साक्ष्य है, योद्धा मैं निपुण था, बस एक ही मजबूरी थी, मैं वचनों का शौकीन था। अगर ना दिया होता वो वचन मैंने कुंती माता को, तो पांडवों के खून से मैं धोता अपने हाथ को।
Amity School of Languages has always aimed at praising the education linked with values and humanity.
Club, ASL Coffee House, was born in 2020. Within a short span of 2 years, the club organized events like inter-departmental fest, debate competitions, 5-day national workshop, etc.
Good communication is the bridge between confusion and clarity. Rightly said by Nat Turner. ASL Coffee House, a communication skills club where we try to enhance not only our speaking skills but also brush up our personality for a wholesome development.
Coffee houses increasingly became popular for sharing information and current news. With the same intention, the name Coffee House was given to our club so that our students can get a suitable platform for sharing their views and honing their skills.
What do we talk in our coffee house? What do we discuss? What do we ponder upon? We discuss the issues that are related to mankind. We discuss the issues that affect the cause of humanity all over the world.
I joined this team alumni coordination in the second year of my college, and since then the journey has been wonderful. I have learned a lot being the coordinator of the team alumni coordination, and we have various sessions every month. Even in the pandemic, we have tried to conduct sessions in each month, and we have covered various topics like modernism, drama, theatre, cinema, performance, basics of English language, journalism, and so many more things.
The foremost example of something like this is a poem called In the Station of a Metro by Ezra Pound. It is merely of 3 lines, but it is exactly what Ezra Pound wanted from poetry: precise, clear, with a very sharp imagery. And this is the lesson modernists took.
On the slide, film or cinema is a composite art form which incorporates features of many fine art forms, performance art traditions, conventions of literature, and technological devices, ranging from the camera to the computer. Cinema is the storytelling form of, or the narrative form of the 20th century.
The journey of Amity School of Languages has really been splendid. It always feels like family, with everyone around you constantly guiding you, inspiring you, picking you up when you fall, appreciating you when you achieve something, even on the smallest victories. It's not only about the knowledge that the place imparts to its students, but also the ethic and values that are inculcated in each student, which makes us a complete whole. We have almost approached the end of today's session. Not all magicians hold a wand. Some of them perform magic by the wisdom they impart to others around them. We have one such magician here at Amity School of Languages as well. A professor who has almost all the classical everlasting sayings by famous poets and authors on his fingertips. Someone who constantly guides on all AUUP regulations. He is none other than Professor Dr. Satyat Prakash Tripathi. I take this privilege of inviting you to deliver the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Navya. Guten Tag, Bone Prasmidi, Buenos tardes, Masal Khair, Konnichiwa, Bonadais. Good afternoon to all of you. It is often said, well begun is half done. It is my proud privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of each and every one in the 9th International Conference on the Narratives of Troubled Times, Reflections and Studies of Humanities, organized by Amity School of Languages, Amity University, Lucknow, in collaboration with Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Turkey, along with Alliance Francaise, Yes, Germany, and Perfect Institute, Volksschule des Mittelstands, and PFH University, Germany. First of all, my sincere thanks to Almighty God for making today's inaugural function a great success. By His blessings and grace, we have been able to make the event what it was. At this very moment, I would like to give my heartfelt thanks to our Honorable Founder President, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, Patron of the conference, Honorable Dr. Aseem Chauhan, and Vice Chancellor of Amity University, Honorable Dr. Balwinder Shukla. An event of such magnitude cannot happen without your blessings. I am very grateful to our Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Sunil Dhaneshwar, who took out time from his busy schedule to grace the occasion. Sir, today we all had the opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this is definitely going to encourage us in our future events. A very special mention to our director and convener of the conference, Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray. Ma'am, being the catalyst, you keep on inspiring all of us to do our best and stand always as a pillar of power. Million thanks to you, ma'am, for your unfaltering support and confidence in us. You are really the backbone of our Amity School of Languages and the guiding force for every new step forward. The importance and role of an author, difficulties of writers from a Turkish perspective. It is a great honor and privilege to hear today Professor Nevid Akpinar Delal, head of Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Turkey. The message of peace, love, and humanity through education, ma'am, you really emphasized, and we all agree with you. I also express my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Seval Ayne Karakabi, ma'am, first of all, for a beautiful English translation of what ma'am, Professor Nevid Akpinar Delal spoke in German. We were really mesmerized. And then, for a moment, you took us to Turkey. You took us to Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University. You really gave us a glimpse of how the university is and how the environment and atmosphere is all around. You gave a beautiful picture of the logo of the university, depicting the columns, the bells, the blue, the pine, as well as the date of the establishment of 1992. Ma'am, we are really honored. I express my heartfelt thanks to you. I'm also grateful to the inaugural chief guest, Professor Manoj Dixit. He has rightly said that today's fiction is tomorrow's reality. We all agree with him. Professor Manoj, sir, it is always a pleasure listening to you, and whatever you say, it is always a constant source of inspiration for all of us. A very special thanks to our keynote speaker, Professor Dr. Sigdem Palamul from Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, for your valuable presentation. Ma'am, we have all read John Steinbeck's The Grapes of Wrath. But today we realized the survival and triumph of humanity in troubled times, and ma'am, the universal message, how it becomes a balm of life in troubled times. Very rightly you referred to chapter 14 of Man's Self. We all agree with you, and the way you have actually given a glimpse of John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath, it was indeed a pleasure listening to you, and very truly, it is a remedy of life. My gratitude and thanks to Mr. Stephen Zammit for giving a beautiful glimpse of PFH University, Germany. I owe gratitude and thanks to Marilyn Leyden of French Institute, India, for her distinguished presence and vivid presentation of the intercultural approach of language. Ma'am, very truly, you have emphasized the importance of greetings. Yes, the way we greet each other does create an immortal, eternal, and universal impact on the minds of people. Moving further, I thank from the bottom of my heart all the HOIs, directors, heads of institutions, faculties, guests, and participants from India and abroad who took out their valuable time for this inaugural function of the 9th International Conference and attended with great enthusiasm. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to the coordinators of the conference, Ms. Shraddha Shrivastava and Dr. Seval Aine Karakabi, who have been working day and night for the last 6 months for the international conference of such enormity. My gratitude and thanks to all the members of the organizing committee of the 9th International Conference, the technical team of the students coordinated by our faculty, Mr. Rohit Yadav. It is indeed a very Herculean task, and I repeat it again. It is really indeed a very Herculean task to manage the international conference online without any flaw. I would be failing in my duty if I do not thank my non-teaching staff, Mr. Akashdeep and Mr. Ram Suchit, who really worked very hard day and night. I'm also grateful to Chandrasekhar Verma for providing the media coverage of this 9th International Conference. Last but not the least, I am emphasizing last but not the least, with a deep sense of appreciation and gratitude, I would like to thank our budding anchors, our very dear students of BA Honours English, Navya Shrivastava, Shubhi Gupta, Ishita R. Sachan, Priyanshi Shrivastava, and Paramita Tek Chandani, who made this event a great, grand success by their impressive anchoring and presentations. Before I leave, once again, on behalf of our director and convener of the International Conference, Professor Dr. Kumkum Ray, and also on behalf of the faculty and staff members of Amity School of Languages, I thank from the core of my heart Muğla Sıtkı Koçman University, Turkey, Yes, Germany, PFH University, Perfect Institute, Alliance Française, and Volksschule des Mittelstands for their wholehearted support and collaboration in the 9th International Conference on Narratives of Troubled Times, Reflection in Studies of Humanities. Danke, Maxi, gracias, shukran, arigato, gracias tibi. Thank you, and looking forward for your presence in the paper reading sessions that are soon to follow.
Thank you so much, sir. If winter comes, can spring be far behind? No, absolutely not. And similarly, the dawn of day one brings closer to the rise of Day 2 of the International Conference. Today, we all gathered a lot of valuable inputs from our erudite speakers from all over the world. But for accumulating more insights on narratives of troubled times, we would request you all to join the event tomorrow as well. Our genial and proficient speakers for Day 2 would be Dr. Rajesh Srivastav, our valedictory guest, Dr. Abhishek Kumar, Dr. Gagan Sayal from Yes, Germany, Mr. Prateek Hira from Tornos, and Professor Binita Mehta from New York. We are sure that we would be cherished by your presence tomorrow as well. But before that, seize the day, my friend, and make the moment immortal by capturing you all in a screenshot. So I would request you all to switch on your cameras for a minute. I hope the technical team is done with the screenshots.
Yes.
Respected audience, I would now like to direct your attention to our national song, Vande Mataram, which reminds us of the nation's glory, beauty, and rich heritage. Let us pay salute to the national song.
Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram, Sujala Suphada, Malayaj Sheetala, Sasya Shyamala Mataram, Vande Mataram, Shubhrajyotsna Pulakitayamini, Pullakusumita Drumadala Shobhini, Suhasini Sumadhura Bhashini, Sukhadam Varadam Mataram, Vande Mataram, Vande Mataram.
Thank you so much for joining, everybody. Now you may all leave and take good care of your health, and stay tuned for tomorrow.
Thank you, students. Well done.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, and see you tomorrow.